Katie and I have been doing analysis all day. Katie's been analyzing where some of the best counties may be for them to go and do voter registration in the RBG. And I've been analyzing where the best counties may be for us to do GOTV work, where there are extra votes that it just doesn't look like those votes turned out. And we're going to go after them.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you come to conclusions yet that you can share?
Yeah. No, I don't have what Katie's working on. We don't have the final. Katie's doing models. Katie used to be a financial analyst, so Katie is having a lovely time building models.
That's great.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I heard
yes.
rumors that she got access to a lot of numbers of 17-year-old unregistered voters.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Yep.
Great. We need them.
After we've been telling people that we won't do people who aren't already on the voter list.
Well, we do have the 165,000 unregistered community of color voters. We did have that. And it looks like we got those with upcoming birthdays. Again, I have no idea how good this data is going to be. It's totally from the other side of L2. And I have no experience with their data on unregistered voters. So it'll be interesting.
Yes.
So that's for the texting, right? And then the email, I mean, the phone bank ones are from Van, from our usual
Yes.
phone bank source.
Yes. But we do now have our own copy of Van. So, yeah.
I mean, how many deregistered voters do we have through Van?
Let me go take a look. Ooh.
Well, those are the ones we're calling.
Right. Yeah. But again, there will be more than we can call because a lot of the people, we have no phone numbers. Let's see what we've got. But we will be running canvases when we're there. 353,000. We only have 40,000 phone numbers. So again, those are the people where we are most likely to have no contact information, where we can reach them quickly. And many of these folks are rural. It will just be too tricky to try to postcard them because of the time crunch. All right, and we'll get everybody in the room. It's 8:01. We'll start in a couple of minutes. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello.
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 Get everybody in.
Hello.
It's done.
Hi, one of my favorite times. Oh, great. Hey, yeah. So many folks that I know. And here we go.
For sure.
All righty. And let me go 11. Yeah, there's the PowerPoint. I've got it. Let me send that PowerPoint to the beginning. Well, I'll do those. People always like that. Let's get everybody in the room. Oh, wow, everybody that we know. Hey, Annette. Oh, we've got a Mississippian in the room. All right. Yeah, all the rest of Mississippi, they're on a phone call, they're on a Zoom call together.
Yay. And there's a bunch of questions in
I
chat.
learned a lot about the census. It's just like, oh, this is really scary. So yeah, that was wow. All right, let's get everybody in. We'll be getting started shortly. I've got my PowerPoint up, got it actually on the right page. That's a new experience for me. Normally I'm somewhere in the middle. I always feel like, oh, wait a minute, let me adjust it. Yeah. And wee. I don't know what's going on, but my big cat has decided to join me up here. So in the event
Aw.
my computer suddenly closes, it's because my 30-pound cat is up here and may either A, go to sleep, or if you hear snoring, it is not me, it is the cat.
That's what my redemption does. She snores in your
I
sleep.
know. I mean, it's just like a person snoring, and it's the cat. Like it's not me, it's the cat. Oh yeah, he's getting all comfy now, so he's ready to go. All right, yes.
Jenny.
I know. I'm just chuckling. I'm like, oh, Jordan is my grandson here, and it's like, no, he's not. I know my grandson isn't here. All right. Well, I'm going to say welcome, welcome. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, since I'm recording, I'm going to mute everybody so we get a really good recording. And then my presentation tonight is short because the gods of Zoom and or all my neighbors are all on the internet. So let's see if we can get that to work. And let's make this big. Okay, ups. And here we are. Many of you have seen this and you already know. So for 2020, we are saying these are the final numbers. These were the final numbers. I need to change the title of my slide for the November 3rd election. The numbers are starting over. So most people know this number, 6.4 million postcards sent. And then most people know the phone bank number. We were basically at 1.4 million calls made. That is a record for us. So again, all of you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We sent 2.5 million text messages to our various states. And I've updated the numbers as of this afternoon. So, as of this afternoon, for the presidential election, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina still have not officially been called. Right now in Arizona, uh, Biden leads by 11,536 votes. In the state of Georgia, Joe Biden leads by 14,057 votes. So in Arizona, his lead is going down. It was originally 65,000 votes. In Georgia, his lead is going up. It was originally only 7,500. We are now at 14,000. Georgia has been ordered to do a hand recount. Now, if anybody knows anything at all about recounts, number one, a hand recount is the best kind of recount to do for accuracy. But again, if you know anything at all about recounts, recounts normally only produce at best a few hundred extra votes that maybe got missed. They're not going to produce 14,000 new votes. In North Carolina, uh, Mr. Trump leads by 73,000 votes. Now, let's take a real quick look at what the South looked like in 2020. Um, in Alabama, we had 143,000 more votes than we had in 2016. In South Carolina, the number of votes increased 374,000 over 2016. In Virginia, it was on another slide and I didn't feel like erasing it. We don't really care, but it was nearly 400,000 more votes than 2016. The big winner in terms of vote increase is the great state of Texas, 2.1 million more votes in 2016 than in 2020. Remember, Texas, the Thursday before the election, during early voting, had already surpassed the total number of votes that turned out in 2016. Thursday before the election, Texas was already at 9 million voters and counting. The only state that went down from vote count was Mississippi. Mississippi is almost 68,000 votes lower than where they were in 2016. One of the reasons for that is of all the states that we are listing here, Mississippi was the only one that did not have early voting. All the other states had either real early voting or what they called in person absentee, where they let everybody vote without an excuse. Mississippi was the only one of the states that did not do that. Another state where we saw a big jump in voter turnout was Florida. 1.5 million new voters turned out in Florida. Now, we are working on the Georgia runoff. 2 Senate elections are going to be part of the January 5th runoff. An interesting thing happened in Georgia the other day. The Georgia Secretary of State, who is currently under fire by both of the Senate incumbents, decided that the runoff for Representative John Lewis's seat in Georgia 5, and there was a statewide Public Utilities Commission race. Those races were going to be moved from December 1st to January 5th, so that all the races in Georgia are now occurring on one day, which means it will make turnout a lot easier. We will not be looking at trying to turn voters out for December 1st and then having to go back and turn voters out again. There's going to be one election day, and all the elections are going to be on January 5th. And we know that early voting is going to begin on December 14th. Now, the latest rumor that I heard from Georgia, and I do not know that it's true, is that not all counties may elect to have early voting. When we are dealing with a runoff, this is not a regular election. This is something odd. It is a runoff. Counties by law are not required to have early voting. So I'm going to be watching that carefully. I believe all the counties will have at least one facility if all they do is use their state board of elections office. So it may be that they don't do any, quote, satellite early voting locations. Some of the smaller counties, the larger county, Fulton County, had better come up with some runoff locations. What I found interesting when I was looking at early voting sites, when Fulton County for the John Lewis race only had 5 voting centers open for early voting. So it seems as though they were expecting a very, very, very low turnout. This race is going to be a high turnout race. So the voter registration phone banks are up. Special thank you and shout out to the amazing phone bank team. 4 phone banks are currently up. The voter registration text banks are up. I set those up the other day. And so the Georgia team is invited to go ahead and begin texting. There are some very special instructions. So make sure you get the special instructions for the Georgia phone bank before you attempt to use it. And I have purchased some data for 17-year-olds turning 18 by January 5th. And then also, I've signed the contracts for the Metro Atlanta billboards. I'm still waiting for people on the ground in Georgia to tell me which central Georgia billboards I'm going to need to buy. I'm going to wait one more day and then I'm going to do it another way. We will sort of geo map it and we will figure out from mapping software where I need to buy billboards because I want all the contracts to let by the end of the week. I do not want to lose the best billboards for our voters. And everybody knows about our billboard. So the other billboard will be the Vote Your Power billboard saying when early voting is going to be. It will have the phone number for the county registrar. And then we will also have a bit.ly where people can go and they can get the information that they need. Now, the RBG is heading back to Georgia. This is one of the pictures from when it was in Georgia. She is now equipped with a computer and 4 tablets. She's got 2 big internet hotspots because every night there will be a fish fry. From the fish fry, they will invite people to come back the next morning to go on a voter registration canvas, and then they will be looking to register voters. So at the fish fry, they will be able to check everybody's voter registration status to make sure people are registered. One of the reports I heard today from the NAACP is that there were a number of provisional ballots cast in Georgia where it turns out people were no longer registered to vote and they did not realize they had been purged. So we are going to work on that because if you are not a registered voter, then your vote is not going to count in this election. So we are going to really work on making sure we get voters registered. Um, as I said, I've signed a contract for billboards in Metro Atlanta. I'm looking to get them in Richmond County, Savannah, and Central Georgia in the Black Belt. And I am thrilled that the screen sharing on the computer lasted that long because I kept getting your internet is unstable.
So Andrea, we didn't see the later slides.
Okay.
Do you want me to try sharing any of the later slides?
Yeah, you can share. That's why I sent you that presentation. Yes, please. So you can show whatever people weren't able to see. Oh, yes.
I think it was starting. It was starting here.
Oh boy, I didn't realize it fell apart there. All right. Well, yeah, that was an important slide. That was the difference in terms of turnout between 2016 and 2020. Nancy will add this to the Slack channel when we're done. As I said, Mississippi was the only state where the numbers went down. They were also the only state of that list that did not have early voting. We know about the Senate runoffs, so we are working on that. Now, it's my understanding that Brian has given out nearly 2 million postcard addresses to the distributors. The only thing left are the very, very, very small counties, probably 2,000, maybe 3,000 voters. So we are doing very, 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 very well with the postcards. So yes.
Andrea, if I could just ask you to talk about CSAY for a minute, because we want to let people know that we're watching. How are we going to promote CSAY?
Above my pay grade, no idea. See Something, Say Something is going to be on all the billboard sets that I buy. I don't know if we are going to do paid advertising of it. I did have a slide in there where we talked about all the partners that use See Something, Say Something. The NAACP wants to use See Something, Say Something again for the Georgia election. And so I will be pushing the coalition in Georgia, and we are kind of sort of working with various partners in the coalition to use See Something, Say Something. In Georgia, there's a big fight about money with the varying coalition partners. So it gets very interesting about who wants to use what and who's willing to share what with whom. So we're just kind of watching that. And whenever people make an overture and ask for help, we say, yes, we're more than willing to help. We will be again concentrating our work outside the metro Atlanta area. The only thing we will have in metro Atlanta will be the billboards. Otherwise, we will be down in the Black Belt. When the RVG goes down, she will first be in Houston County and Peach County. So we will work in those two counties first. When she goes back, I believe Katie is looking at going at Muskogee. It's really going to depend on what her models show. So we're sending a team down 6 days, then they're coming back to Virginia. A new team will take over and they'll go down for 6 days. So again, at every place where they go, it is a fish fry in the evening, check everybody's voter registration, and then inviting people back during the day for a neighborhood canvas of voter registration. So it should be a very, very, very amazing trip. And then when the RVG is there and we have the early voting locations, then these canvases can be even bigger because in many of the communities, we'll be able to knock on almost every door. So Katie and I are beginning to work on GOTV literature because the RVG will be equipped with door hangers that we will be able to leave on every door in the event that the voters are not home. So it is a very big, ambitious plan. We have figured out, I think, the best way and the best use of the RVG as something that will attract people, give us the opportunity to help them check their voter registration, remind them to check the voter registration of everyone in their household, and make sure that they are vote ready. Oh, RVG stands for the Notorious Ruthless Vote Getter, kind of a play on RVG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And how do we make sure that there is data available? Data available for what? There's 2.7 million voters of color. I don't think we're going to run out of data. And here's Brian.
Brian, are we going to run out of data?
For postcarding, probably.
For postcarding. There was a question about why we're mentioning the candidates' names on the postcards.
We are mentioning the candidates' names on the postcards because it is a statewide Senate race and there are 2 of them, and a runoff race is a very weird thing. So we're mentioning the names. Because we are a 501c3, we do not mention what political party they are from. And as long as we mention all the names, we are just fine. I mean, it is a very stupid rule, but it is the rule.
Did you see?
There are a lot of questions going on in the chat, like more than we can even read.
Whoa, yeah.
It exploded. So if you could please clarify for people about text banking, because it sounds like there are a lot of new people who want to join the text banking. And
If you
not
live in
happening.
Georgia, we will invite you to join the text banking. We right now are texting deregistered voters. We've got a large Georgia contingent that is doing texting. The text banking will be left in the target state. It is for our target state users. We do want to make sure they know how to use the tool. So if after a week we do not have that many people in state stepping up to text, then I will open it up. But it is very critical that people in state use the texting tool and that we don't have people out of state send all of the texts. That is very, very important. The people from Southern Echo, Georgia have expressed an interest. I will train them on using the texting program. It is also a little trickier than normal because we did not remove the GOTV data. We left that in there. We just said, here are the unregistered voters. And then when we get the youth voters, we're going to add the youth voters in on top of that. So people need to select their group.
And Andrea, I put some questions. I said they were from Meg Holmberg and Nancy Schoenfield. She's trying to update the phone bank sheet on Georgia. So they're at the bottom of the chat. I repeated them.
Oh, okay, great. Great,
if you want to tackle some of those.
Hopping in the chat right now. Yes, we've got the postcard. Yeah, we've got that.
So,
all righty. Okay.
A few questions up. Will we do guided phone banks? Will we add new counties? What's the time frame for doing voter registration and then switching over to early vote?
We have to finish voter registration ends on December 7th. We are probably going to do for GOTV some new counties that we haven't worked before. As I said, I've given Katie a set of data and Katie is modeling it. We are looking for more votes in different areas of the state. So, and we're thinking we may try to bring the RV into the areas where we're phoning in so that we do manage to get that double touch on voters, especially voters who might not have voted in the November 3rd election. Right now, we are looking to see, is there a source somewhere where we can buy that data and then upload it into Van so that we can be even more targeted in our outreach. We haven't found that yet. So we have not found anyone that is selling that. Do we know which counties we will be doing for GOTV? We will be doing Bibb County, Macon County, Peach, Houston. Those are the ones that I've been staring at all day. There will be all the Black Belt counties, and then there will be the counties that are adjacent to the Black Belt counties. These are all the counties. Most of them we have worked in those counties before. Some of these counties are actually going to be new. Board of Elections, early voting locations. The early voting locations have not posted yet. I am hoping they post on, well, tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow, if they don't post tomorrow, then I'm hoping they post next week. And that was one of the big problems we ran into in Texas. they posted early voting locations very, 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 very late. There is tremendous hesitancy on the part of some organizations, I know on my part as well, to even try to get involved with the notion of vote by mail. Because seeing what's going on now with the other side, we know that what will probably happen is people will request vote by mail ballots, and then the Secretary of State simply won't send them. I mean, from what we are seeing in Georgia, there is now a more deliberate effort than ever to figure out how to cheat. And so letting the Secretary of State or be dependent on the Secretary of State to mail ballots when the two senators are calling for his head and basically saying, you didn't cheat enough, that just doesn't look like a winning strategy. There were 2.7 million addresses. They have already been distributed. Oh, some of the distributors still have the addresses. The distributors jumped up right away to make sure they got addresses. Yes. You get postcard data by contacting your distributor. So we need to know what state you're in, and then we can tell you who your distributor is.
And we will send out a follow-up email with a link that you can look up who your local organizer is, depending on where you live, and with other information.
Right. So, yeah. I saw the question. Where do you live? All right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, yes, new people. If you are experienced phone bankers, you can watch the video and then you can immediately begin to phone bank. The only thing is, especially if you already have your action ID. Now, we have upgraded our phone banks so that if you have a headset and you are used to dialing from your computer, Open Virtual Phone Bank Connect is now running in Georgia. So you can put on your headset, you can go to the Open Virtual Phone Bank, and then you can choose your computer to do the dialing rather than dialing from your phone. So that is the only thing that's different. Otherwise, the script, if you phone bank for us before, looks exactly the way that it did. It's just now there's a choice. How do you want to dial? If you have ever been concerned about, I don't want people to get my number, then dialing from your computer may be the ideal way for you to go. No, we do not coordinate with Swing Left because they are partisan. We are a 501c3 that is illegal. Vote Forward sends letters. We do not send letters. Our population will be very reluctant to open a letter from people that they do not know. We send postcards that are culturally and racially inspiring because they see the postcard and they immediately see the message. So it is a cultural thing. We are reaching out to voters of color. It is an entirely different audience. The approach is different. Yes. Okay. Yes, we are mentioning the candidates by name in the script, which is handwritten on the postcards. We do not send printed postcards with printed messages. What was the Georgia turnout? I will not know that for months unless one of my big vendors gets their hand on that data. Actually, it should probably be posted now on the Secretary of State's website. I'll go digging for that tomorrow. Is there an opportunity to donate specifically for the billboards? We're putting up new billboards. We used most of our money for the billboards in 7 states. Now, your billboard contract is only good for a month. The month is up. So now I have to buy the billboards all over again. But I have a great relationship with the billboard vendors. They were Johnny on the spot in terms of sending me the pricing proposal. So we're going to be buying more billboards in Georgia.
And I posted the link in the chat for people to donate. It's tax deductible.
Yes, yes, yes. One of the things we're talking to the southern states about right now is what they're going to do after the election, now that the election is over for everyone except Georgia. Mississippi and a number of the other states are going to have county and local races, some of them even state races in 2021. So we are talking to them about organizing with us and teaching them how to organize using the digital tools that we provide. They all are getting their copy of Text% with all the names that I purchased so that they can use it. Some of them are still fighting for Medicaid expansion. Some of them are fighting evictions. Many of them are going to want to use it to talk to people about judgeships and district attorney races. So the conversation tonight was on tools that we would be bringing in, helping local communities that are on the ground organize so that when there is an opportunity to elect new people, it doesn't feel like we are literally trying to jumpstart democracy when it's on life support. That the local communities will already have kind of plowed the road. And what I am delighted with is we've got a number of folks from Virginia here who are now stepping up and want to help Georgia because Virginia had a really, really, really good election. And so now people are going, all right, we had a great election. Let's go help somebody else. And the idea is that we really didn't work in Virginia this year because Virginia had basically become self-sufficient. And that's what we want to see for these other states. As they become more self-sufficient, they are then going to be able to win more and more and more elections at a higher level, as opposed to they have no tools. They're totally dependent on out-of-state groups coming in who frequently have no concept of the fact that there are enough community of color voters in that state to basically make the difference in an election, and they don't bother to turn them out. So that's what we're working on. Boy, you guys are fast. All right, let's see. Yes. Phone bank team, will you be doing Monday phone bank trainings like you did before? Those were great. People loved those so much.
Gabriel is here. Can you?
Hey, Gabriel. And we will be advocating
Oh, there we
for
go.
early voting. There you are. Yay.
You need to mute. Hey, 1 second.
Hey, all right. Oh, yeah, he's got to move with the computer. Well,
Our phone bank leader is back from the beach.
oh, yeah. All right. Well, good to know that somebody got a vacation. There are others of us who didn't get a chance to go anywhere. I got a chance to go out to lunch.
He had one day on the beach now.
He Gabriel deserved a vacation after generating a
Yes.
million phone calls in the last couple of
Yeah.
months
Oh,
with
all
his
right, all right.
wonderful team.
Oh, hang on, Gabriel. I've got you. There you go. All right, you should be, there you are.
There we go. Hey,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're just the phone bank team is about to start rolling out new Georgia trainings. And I think yeah, we're gonna just have them on Mondays the way we have up till now.
Okay.
I'm just starting to kind of get my bearings and announce this to people. So those announcements will be rolling out throughout the various channels over the next few days. Over tomorrow, really.
Perfect.
And you, Gabriel, you will post them on Phone Bank Central, right?
That's right. That is one of the
Yes.
various channels.
That's where we want everyone to always go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a question, is there any insight on what happened in North Carolina? I'm not sure what happened in North Carolina. I know that Rodney, my board member that lives in North Carolina, was reporting that counties were saying that they were looking at 60 to 90% of their voters turning out during early voting to vote, that the number of people voting was high. Today is the last day that North Carolina was accepting vote by mail ballots, and North Carolina has said that they will certify on November 16th. So whether or not there will be that ability to come back from that deficit of however many tens of thousands of votes is still to be seen. But I was somewhat surprised by North Carolina. So yes. Yes, and the next legislative session, we are going to be looking at many of the reports that are in Say Something, and we will use that to inform changes that we recommend to legislation like John Lewis's Voter Empowerment Act, HR 1. All those bills will be reintroduced into the US Congress in 2020. So for the 117th session. So based on what we saw with shenanigans by the various states, that is going to inform some very specific voting rights legislation that will prevent them from doing the kind of nonsense they tried. For instance, we will need to have legislation around drop boxes that says if you're going to have them, then there must be one drop box per every X number of thousand voters. It was beyond ridiculous for Governor Abbott of Texas to say that in Harris County, a county of 2.8 million people, that they could have one and only one drop box. So yes, most definitely we agree. And we were talking about that a little bit on the Southern Echo call this morning. Yes. All righty, yes. So phone bank training will be Monday, and the list of regional coordinators is at ROV Postcard Home. The deadline to register voters in Georgia is December 7th. And let's see.
There was still a question on what you said about, are we going to add new voter registration phone banks besides the 5 or 4 counties we have up there now?
Yes, we will add some new phone banks. We need one to go up in Houston. We need one to go up in Peach. Weirdly enough, I think we're going to need one to go up in Chattahoochee. Don't laugh. Katie did a study, and it really looks like Chattahoochee has a number of people that may need to be re-registered. So yes, Katie's working on that. So I should have that tomorrow. Yes, and people want the percentage turnout for voters of color. I have not looked that up yet. And yes, if you use VPB Connect, the area code is 706. It is a Georgia area code. Phone banking is being done by everyone. So people from any state in the union, we need you to phone bank. We have so many more phone numbers than we have cell numbers. It would be great to be able to call 300,000 Georgia people and talk to them about, I'm laughing, a little note there, and talk to them about early voting. Yes.
And
All
the
right.
question about the access to the ages of the young people who are going to turn 18 by December 7th or January 5th. Do we have that data?
No. It's selected. I still need to go in and buy it. So that's just signing in and dipping the credit card. Yeah. Yep.
And then would we be doing a voter registration phone bank for that group? Or texting? Texting would be better.
Texting is going to be better because it's faster. That is going to be an age group that is not going to be likely to answer a phone. They would be far more likely to respond to a text message. And what would be great about that young group is we have the ability to text them the link where they can just check the registration. Well, we know they're unregistered. They will just be able to go online with their phone and then go ahead and register. Wow. Yes. It was my goal. All right. Yeah, we're theoretically done a little bit early. I'm scrolling through the chat now, looking at questions. December 7th is the deadline for voter registration. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's for anyone. There was some question about that, not just people who have been unregistered by the state. It's for anybody who moves to Georgia, who lives in Georgia, as long as they're the right age and they're a US citizen.
Yes, yes. New registrants and updating their voter registration. People who have moved. Yes. December 7th is the day. Yes. And again, we have to send the postcards early because early voting starts on the 14th and the postcards reference early voting. And then we also have to continue to assume that mail is still going to be slow. Yes, so normally we would have been able to probably push the deadline back a week.
Andrea, are you saying that we could actually mail the postcards before December 1st now? Now that there's not a December 1st election? Or should we just keep things as they are? December 1st to 7th is the range for us to mail our postcards. Because we don't want them getting them before.
Right, it's still
info.
December 1st through 7th, right, exactly. We need to be close to the early voting date. If you mail them too soon, people will get the postcard and forget they have it. Yes, yes.
Thanks.
So Myra asked a question. Could you explain how people get deregistered? How does that work in Georgia?
In Georgia, if you miss 2 federal elections, you are moved to the inactive voter list. Inactive voters still have the ability to vote. If you miss 3 federal elections, you will then be moved to the deregistered list. Deregistered voters can no longer vote. And often people have no idea that they have been deregistered. And that was especially true in this election by the number of provisional ballots that we got. So what Georgia did was when people went, if they could not find them on the voter rolls, and they weren't able to find some people on the voter rolls because not only had they been deregistered, they had been deregistered for so long, they were actually dropped. So those folks, their votes will not be counted. When they do the Georgia vote count, the people who voted provisional ballots are never in that initial count. They will show up in the very last count, all those who are able to cure their provisional ballot. If you got a provisional ballot because you were an unregistered voter, and you really and truly are unregistered, there is no curing that provisional ballot because Georgia does not allow you to register after the fact and then they count your vote. You must be registered before election day, and they have a prescribed number of days where you must be registered.
Do you know when early voting will end?
I don't really know when early voting ends. I was busy looking up when it began, but I didn't look up when it ended.
So,
14th, around the 30th, I
so
would guess.
because in the chat, so Leyland maybe can say he heard, but I don't know where the 20. We have two people now saying it ends 12/31.
Googling it.
It'll probably end early that day, given the holiday.
Yes. And let's see, I need early voting and the special election. For the runoff elections. There we go. Okay.
Andrea, I have a question in a private chat that this call's been a little disjointed and confusing because so many topics we're running through. So they're wondering what exactly we want people to do and when,
We want them to phone bank now until election day.
Great. And postcards also, if they can, right?
Yes. If your distributor still has addresses left, yes.
I said this a couple times in the chat, but don't spend a lot of money ordering postcards unless you're sure that you have addresses available to you. Like make a call to your distributor first before you spend the money.
And although you can use them next year. And the other thing
Sure.
is we purposely did not tell all 30,000 of our volunteers about postcarding. We purposely reached out to our existing postcarders through their distributors. So it's okay to get new postcarders, but that isn't our target. We probably have 20,000 people already writing postcards who have our postcards, who know the system. And so we asked the people who gave them their addresses to re-up it and say, okay, I now have new addresses. So that's why we haven't publicized postcards real widely. It's okay to do it. We'll try to plug you in if we can.
Right.
Early voting ends technically on January 1st because that is New Year's Day. I'm going to guess it will officially end on December 31st. Early voting ends on the Friday immediately before Election Day.
Wow, what a New Year's Eve, huh?
Yeah, what a New Year's Eve.
Actually, no, yeah.
Were there other questions?
Probably.
Well, we're getting questions about North Carolina. Will there be an effort to remove the notary requirement in North Carolina that was dropped for just this election? There will be an effort to remove the notary requirement and the witness requirement. I cannot begin to tell you whether it will be successful, but there will be an effort. Yes. We cannot phone bank voters that are turning, that are 17, that are turning 18, because NGP van only contains people who have been registered and are already on the voter file. 17-year-olds who cannot vote are not on the voter file. So we did have to buy that data. There is another group that has approached me that says they have the data. I will be talking to them tomorrow. And anyone is allowed to register before the next election. And again, anyone who is unregistered. Inactive voters are registered voters. They merely need to vote to become active or contact their county board of elections and ask them to make them active. Yeah, yes.
And I'm going to just say, for new people, we're going to send out the links, and specifically, I want you to attend to the ROV postcard home link. If you want a postcard, please go on there and watch the video. It's less than 10 minutes. Read the guidelines. And the phone bank central link. If you want a phone bank, go to Phone Bank Central and again, watch the training video. It's less than 10 minutes. It'll answer a lot of the questions that are here in the chat. And read the guidelines.
All right. Yeah, I'm reading all that. Okay. People from almost everyone that is sending postcards does not live in Georgia. The only thing that is restricted solely to people who live in Georgia is texting. Oh, yes. And the way that people get deregistered in Georgia is the way people get deregistered in every state. They are, quote, file maintenance off the rolls. One of the things we will be working on immediately after the election will be the constitutional right to vote. So that if there really were a constitutional right to vote, that would also mean the converse is true. You have the right not to vote and yet still remain on the voter rolls. Virtually every state in the union has some number of elections where if you miss X number of federal elections, we are going to dump you off the voting rolls. So voting is not a right in this country. Most people believe once they register to vote, if they do not move, they remain registered to vote. That is just not true. That is believing in the tooth fairy. People go, wait a minute, I know there's a tooth fairy. Well, all right, pick another fairy. Okay.
Andrea, do we have a word on when OpenVPB Connect will be fully installed in the
It's
phone
fully
banks?
installed now. You have to turn it on for every individual phone bank.
Right.
Yeah. It's on. It's there.
Did you enable it for every phone bank? So they have to just, if they click on the blue phone number, it's going to automatically go into VPB Connect?
I can go in and enable it for all the existing phone banks. Every phone bank that we create from now on, we have to manually enable OpenVPB Connect. It doesn't remember that you did that.
I don't think any of my chats are going through. I must be missing something. I mostly just want a link and a password.
Gail, I will email you a link and a password for Action ID for phone banking.
Oh, yes.
Yes, no worries. Thank you, because I know you phone banked and postcarded.
Yes. Oh, okay. All righty. Yes, let me handle that. Other questions?
Open VPB, not pub. I like that.
Jenny Savage had a question about the Atlanta synagogues. Let me see if
Are they RAC? Are they RAC synagogues?
are they reformed?
You know, I really don't know. That was the entire email that I got from her.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I don't want anybody to think that there's a problem with sending postcards from out of state because of the out of state stamps. There is
Right.
not. This was just a very specific question about congregations in the South.
so Jenny, I'll look for that email that I think you probably sent me and I didn't read, and see if they are members of the Reform
Of the RAC. And because if
religious
they
action.
are, did Michael get postcards?
I think he did. He got addresses from Roxanne, like tons of them. So I think he
All right. Yes. Then they can simply go to Rabbi Michael Namath, and he will supply addresses to the various synagogues.
Oh, Chris Witzel is offering to follow up. Thank you, Chris. She did that privately. Thank you, Chris. They are Reform.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yes.
Thank
they
you,
can
Chris.
Go to Rabbi Michael.
Yeah. And Andrea spoke at Chris's temple last synagogue a couple of weeks ago. So yay.
And I was with Rabbi Michael last night. And I will give you his email. So Nancy, I'm going to give it to you, although you probably
I have his,
You've got Michael? Yes.
Yes,
then
I have
provide his
Michael's.
email. Michael can provide you, Rabbi Michael can provide you with postcards.
Yeah, because I know that he asked for, I think Roxanne said he was asking for a lot of addresses, or Brian.
Right. And I see a message from Steve, postcards use labels and writing. So yes. We put the URL and the phone number on labels. That way we don't ever have to worry that people couldn't tell, was that a 7 or was that a 1? We put it on a label. That way it's clear.
And thank you, Joanne Busansky, for confirming that you're doing Georgia postcards with RAC. Yeah. So Rabbi Michael is on board.
Yes, and we are not doing voter registration postcards because the turnaround is just too tight. And most of the people that we would be mailing the registration postcards to, older rural voters, would then have to get the registration form mailed to them, and the time frame is just too tight. So we're going to go after the unregistered voters. Those who can text will be able to click on the link and potentially use the online registration.
I think you sort of hinted at this, but Sabrina Solomon asks if a little bit up in the chat, people are concerned about voters getting too many calls. Are phone banks typically contacting voters who aren't reached by campaigns? The answer being yes.
Okay. All righty. Yes, when you phone bank, we are only phone banking active and inactive voters. Well, right now we are doing voter registration. All those voters have been deregistered and they cannot vote. When we switch to GOTV, every voter that we call is able to walk in and vote. Yes. So we separate our phone banks. They're not mixed. So either you can vote or you can't. That's how we separate them, because the message is very different. What we need the voter to do varies upon their registration status.
And these tend to be voters who don't get a lot of calls from the campaigns. because they're infrequent voters, they're rural voters.
And they're rural. And that's one of the interesting challenges we saw in Georgia. There are many, many, many progressive groups in Georgia. Georgia has a table that has 20, 30 groups in it. Most of the groups are based in Metro Atlanta. So Metro Atlanta is overrun. That is why we have almost no phone banks going to Metro Atlanta. They are covered. When you get out of Metro Atlanta, you are in some very small counties, many counties that just really don't even have groups like Indivisible. They don't have a Democratic Party, or if they do, there's 12 people in it. And they don't have van, and they really don't have any tools for doing voter outreach. We are out in those counties. So nobody's going to call them because people just believe, oh, everybody out there is this or that. So they never get called. And unfortunately for both parties, most people who live in those rural areas aren't going to be donors either. So campaigns aren't really tempted to call. They don't vote, they're not donors. Why are we going to bother? So those are our voters. Those are the extra voters that show up. I mean, the sure things, they're going to come out every election. We go after those voters who maybe have a challenge. I don't know where voting is. They keep moving it, and I can't keep up. This is a runoff election. There's a good chance people outside the large voting areas may not even know that it's there. So we make sure they know there's an opportunity to go and vote.
And I unmuted Steph Sterner because they had their hand raised.
Hey, Steph.
Hey guys, thank you. I did have a quick question. I thought in our Constitution it outlines our right to vote as individuals. How does states skirt that?
Anything that is not expressly forbidden by federal law is okay. That's how they skirt it. So there is nothing in federal law that says you can't dump people off the rolls for not voting. There is nothing in federal law that says you can't come up with requiring people have photo IDs in order to vote. If there is not federal law, then the states can pretty much do whatever they want. There is no federal law around drop boxes because drop boxes are a new thing. 10 years ago, who was envisioning drop boxes? That would be nobody. Well,
So
maybe California.
Are you saying that an individual would have to challenge on a case-by-case basis?
Yes, and they're not going to win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yes, but that is the way that our laws work. The federal government set up a framework, and then the states operating within that framework can do whatever they want. So unfortunately, in voting in America, each individual state determines the rules they will use to manage elections. So one of the laws that we need is every state will have early voting. And anybody can early vote.
So how are we gonna go about that? I think
It's
that'd be a
federal
great
law.
thing to work toward.
It's just federal law. You write a bill, you get someone to introduce it, and then you build up co-sponsors. It's pretty mindless. It's a lot of work, but it's not hard. Or it's not complicated. Hard, but not complicated.
So they cite like the 10th Amendment all the time. States' rights.
Yes. But again, anything that is not defined by federal law, the states have a right to do whatever they want.
Wow.
So if we define a federal law then now that is one less state right.
We need to.
Yep. So
Onward.
that's why we need to put some of the old voting rules back in.
Mhm.
Okay, wait a minute. I saw one. Can Georgia do another purge before the special election? No. No, they cannot. And yes, a voter, we use deregistered and unregistered as the same term. We say deregistered because the voter was previously registered and their board of elections deregistered, as opposed to someone who has never been registered.
Wow.
Yeah.
Confusing terms there. Well, I think we could do some good work in Georgia right now. We've got time and people are still energized about our wins. So
Yes, yes, yes. And there was a question about voter registration deadline. A voter registration deadline is a hard deadline, meaning if an unregistered voter is not registered by the deadline, they will not be able to vote in that election. That is true. So that means one of the other bills we are going to have to pass is same day registration. So if a voter is qualified to vote, I'm a US citizen of voting age, then, and I present and I show up and I want to vote in an election, and gosh darn, for whatever reason, I haven't voted for the past 10 years. I've hated the candidates for the past 10 years, but I want to vote in this election. I will be able to register and vote, just like they do in North Carolina during early voting.
do some states just, if you just miss one election, they could just bar you?
No, it is
Okay.
always 2 or more.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to the phone book list. I'm not sure what that is. All righty. Yes, calls are great. We will be working on a list of counties where we're thinking these are going to be really priority voter registration counties, because we're seeing a number of provisional ballots showing up in that county. So again, Katie is working on that. Yeah, see that. Yes, yes. And again, our United States Constitution, there is no right to vote. In our United States Constitution, the original right to vote was given to rich white men. You had to own property or you weren't voting. So we've expanded the right, but a lot of other interesting things. Here's the constitutional amendment that we're proposing. Every citizen of the United States who is of legal voting age shall have the fundamental right to vote in any public election held in the jurisdiction in which the citizen resides. That removes this, oh, well, these people can't vote. No, they can't vote. That removes all that. That removes the felons can't vote. They are of voting age and they are a US citizen. Yeah, but they have a felony conviction. Amendment doesn't deal with that. That is not a deal breaker. That does not stop anyone from voting. Well, they haven't voted in the past 7 years. So they're a US citizen and they're of voting age. They're voting.
Yay.
Yes. That's what I love about constitutional amendments. And then we have to pass, we'll probably do it with 2 omnibus bills, the Voting Rights Advancement Act, and then we'll like redo, wrap it up in, it was John Lewis's Voter Empowerment Act. We can put a lot of the other things we need to do in the Voter Empowerment Act. That's kind of like the Voters' Bill of Rights. No, you're not going to photo ID me to death. Get out of here with that. And if I belong to a religion that says I don't believe in like photo IDs, you can't do that. We'll throw drop boxes in there and a bunch of other things. It addresses felony disenfranchisement, so it very specifically says it doesn't count. We'll need to adjust the language a little bit, but yes. Hey, Nicole. So many people I know here. Yes. Okay. Right. Yeah. 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 Postcards only for GeoTV. Time crunch. Normally, we do voter registration starting in January, where for the primary, it's going to be in, for a lot of our states, March. And then after the primaries, we have June to November for voter registration. This is a very short time frame. It's with a holiday in between, Thanksgiving. The mail is goofy enough as it is. It's probably going to get a little crazier over the holidays. There just isn't time to move the mail. Yay.
Well, it's
Thank you,
almost
Chris.
6:15.
All right. All right. Yes.
Andrea, I think you got all the questions. And we'll do a follow-up email to everyone who registered.
Could we just send out a question? Did anyone ask a question and not get it answered? Want to raise their hand? Are we good?
We're good. Let's say goodbye.
Thank you.
All right.
Everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks.